Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode of PUBG. Now this is a game I've done on the channel before, not live because I find it hard to do live recordings of this game. So this is another one of those voiced over recordings, but it's a solo game and in all honesty I think I do pretty well. So I jump out just at fishing camp, we're on the map Tago, and I head over to that island, just kind of cutting the river in two there between Huithril and Harpo. Lots of people jumping, but most of them heading south and east, not so much north or west. So that works in my favour. It's actually a pretty terrible place to go now once I got there and realised it's not a particularly good spot to land. It's only got the one building and a little outbuilding as well. The loot there is not very good. I get a few things, but not a huge amount. But yeah, this was a good PUBG game. It was a good solo game, so I wanted to show it off. I'm not sure how many more of the kind of pre-recorded games I'll do on the channel, but I thought this one was worth showing. I think any more games that I do would probably be live via Twitch or something when the time comes. But I've had a couple of team games, so I thought it'd be time for a solo one as well. And as you can see, we're not too far away from the zone either, as it's kind of in the north and slightly west side of the map. So we're not in a bad spot, but we don't have a huge amount of loot. Luckily, there's not really that many people close to us. There's a couple of people to our south, but really not too much of an issue in general. But I find there's not much here. I've got myself a basic assault rifle. I think it's the Ace-32 and then a Drogonov. Possibly an M24, I can't actually tell. But I also don't have a vest, so I feel the need to keep moving. And as there's no kind of bridge or boat around here, I'm going to have to swim. Not that that's a problem, but it does leave you a little bit tactically on edge, I find, because there's not much you can really do if you're stuck in the middle of a river to stop anyone shooting you. You can dive and try and sneak out that way, but eventually you'll have to come up for air. Thankfully no one does shoot me here, but it is something that I do have to be somewhat concerned about. That being said, I know there's not a huge amount of people here, and in fact I think I'm really the only one who's in this part of the map at all, and it looks like that is indeed the case, with a few people nearby, but not so close that it's going to cause any major concern. So this is a pretty slow start to the match, as often I find matches in PUBG do. And I feel like you don't really want to be fighting in the first few minutes if you can help it. Not because it's a bad thing to do, but I think you have much more chance of death. You may not have the time to loot properly, so if you can go somewhere a little bit off the beaten track, that's good. Although I think I went a little bit too far off the beaten track with that island I landed at. That being said, it's not a bad thing occasionally to go into fights in a little bit kind of close proximity in kind of bigger areas. So in this map it might be army base or terminal or the airport. But I think it's sometimes good to keep your hand active and keep yourself keep yourself ready to fight in an instance. It's good to not get too lax with these things. Anyway, I'm going on a bit of a tangent. I picked up an SKS and I think I'm running the Ace-32 on my kind of assault rifle slot. I tend to, I know some people sometimes run double snipers or double assault rifles. I think one of each is perfectly fine in this case. And just kind of having a little scope through the buildings, just to see what's there. I tend to run two 7.62 2 guns. I know that sometimes running two ammos of the same kind is not great, but I find it sometimes easier in better terms of ammo management. I find it easier. But also, the first guns I ever really got good with, or I use good sparingly, the first guns I got competent with were both 7.62 guns. And ever since then, I've kind of had a preference for them over 5.56 guns or any of the other ammo types. That being said, the ammo types have expanded since I first started playing this game. I think it only used to be kind of 9mm, 5.56, 7.62, and possibly the ACP. There's some additional ones now, usually for special guns, but I'm not sure that was always the case. And some guns have certainly changed ammo types here. You can see me acting like a silly sausage trying to get through that window. Not particularly effectively, but I made it through. That's the main thing. And just out of curiosity, because I still don't know how many people were nearby, not too many people in close proximity. That's not too bad. So just picking up some meds here. I've got, I think, level 2 gear, so it's not too bad at all. I think I'm pretty much decked out in level 2 gear. I've got I want to say 4x scope, which isn't too bad. I think anything lower than a 4x can sometimes be a bit troublesome, but sometimes you don't always need an 8x for kind of mid-range engagements. That being said, if I did or do find an 8x, I do always try to pick them up, because obviously it's just useful to have that kind of far vision. But there's nothing wrong with the 4x in the right circumstances. I shut the door behind me. I'm not sure if it's really necessary, but it just means that someone who has a look at this compound at a quick glance may not think that anyone's been there. That being said, I have broken a few windows, so potentially people would know if they looked in a little bit more detail, but that's assuming they will do so. That's not always the case that they will. And so I kind of have a look at the map, and I want to head up to kind of JC, that quadrant up there, just to the east of Royal Song, because I see a nice big hill there. I think that's going to be a good place for me to kind of set up shop and maybe get some sniping in, some kills, etc. Like I said, it is quite a slow start to the match, but I do actually prefer that. It gives me time to get my strategy sorted in my head, and I kind of wonder about where I'm going to go, and once I've got enough meds and guns and ammo and weapons, I feel generally a lot better about engaging. I head down this way, but I think I eventually turn around, but I do just have a quick look to see if anyone's around. I do see that vehicle there, and actually it's a surprise I don't see number 24 crossing my path there. I feel possibly I should have seen him, but this is all with the benefit of hindsight, where we actually get to see kind of Hunger Games style where all the competitors are. It does always sadden me a little that it was never a Hunger Games game, kind of official one, because while this is a very good thing for kind of Battle Royale, this game, I always thought it'd be cool to do more of the dystopian stuff and the sponsors, etc. And I know there's a certain extent to that with that in here, with kind of the drops and the drops that you can call in nowadays. But I just think it'd be really cool to have a bit more of the dystopian background to it and actually be playing not necessarily as Katniss Everdeen, but a similar type of person. So it could be story based, but still with some genuine battle royale in it. I think that would have been quite fun. But I'm guessing there's a lot of discussions over copyright and laws and who has ownership of the movie and therefore the contents, and whether it goes back to Suzanne Phillips or whether it's with the company that made the films, Lionsgate I think it was. Anyway, again, I'm going on a ramble because there's not much happening. It will start to pick up at some point, but it is a slow burner. But I'm just really proud of this game, and I wanted to show it to all of you regardless, even if it's possibly not the best game, and I'm sure some people do a lot better than I do. I'm not the best PUBG player by any means, but I have fun. I think that's the main thing. There are still a few people around, and it looks like that guy I didn't see before is taking shots, or is giving shots actually to that person in the vehicle. But again, just not really any people in this part of the map. I think I'm lucked out by not really having many people around, but I do just have a look around to see if I can see anything. And I think I head for a vehicle on the road, because that would make sense to me how I get into the zone that little bit quicker. I think there's somewhere on this road there's a vehicle, possibly a Dacia or a UAZ or something along those lines. Maybe not. I see the vehicle over there, number 7, but it's not really worth me trying to engage with them at such long distance and fast speed. It really only just gives away the position, so I'm not sure it's worth it in any regard. And I do have a gander down this road just to see if and what vehicle I can find, as while I'm, it's not terrible to get into the zone from here. It would be nice if I didn't have to run the entire way. And, I think there's still enough people around, or enough people alive that I can get away with driving and it not be too consequential in terms of trying to stay hidden. That being said, I don't actually find any vehicles in this part of the world, and so I have to cut in here. It's a little bit of a race against time to get into the zone. I think I actually don't manage it. I think I get close, but not quite the entire way before the zone comes in. But, with the Phase 2 zone, it's not too bad. I take a moment here just to boost up, I think, with some painkillers. Maybe a painkiller and an energy drink, just to allow myself to run a bit faster. Because once you have enough boost with your yellow meter down there, you do run that a little bit faster. It's not much, but it does help, especially in close calls. Not that this is a particularly close call, but in future, it's always nice to have that little bit of extra movement. If you do have the spare medication to be able to take and use on speed, because if you don't have too many kind of painkillers or energy drinks, you probably want to save them, I find, for medical emergencies, or trying to deal with a blue in a kind of at a tougher stage of the game. At this stage, not too bad. Just out of curiosity, still not many people around. I thought maybe more people might have flown to go dock. It's not that far away from the flight path. It wouldn't have been the worst thing to do, but not many people went there. There's a couple of people there to my south, as you can see, but really not too many. I think I do actually end up picking up a vehicle at this road, because this road I think actually has a vehicle where the last one didn't. There it is, the orange car. I think I spent a moment deciding whether I want to take it or not. Do I take it? Do I just run in? No, apparently I run in. What a terrible choice of mine. Maybe I don't use the vehicle at all. To be perfectly honest, I only played this about 5-6 hours ago, so I thought I took the car, but clearly I forgot. So the blue will catch up with us here, but not to a huge extent. It's not going to be all too bad, all things considered. We'll take a little bit of damage here, but the boost should really help us catch up and get ourselves back on track. The zone's not too far away. I'm really surprised I didn't take a vehicle there, that orange car. Maybe I thought it'd be safer to run in rather than drive in, where I might have a lot more issues with people shooting at me, because cars are not entirely conspicuous things, with it being quite loud. So the zone moves on a little bit further. This time I'm a little bit more concerned that I need to get in there a bit quicker. I do just boost myself up again, if only just to be able to keep healing and keep running at a decent speed. I assume I head to this road and pick up a vehicle here, but tactically I probably would have made a little bit more sense to take a car further back, but I guess not in this regard. But that's okay. Just keeping an eye on the buildings around me, because I know that could be someone lurking in any of them. Thankfully there's not, but there could well be. This whole match ends up kind of culminating in a massive firefight on top of a mountain, and that's kind of the bit I really want to show you. But I didn't want to skip out all the tactical thought that went into my decision making. It's not something that everyone particularly may find interesting, but I find kind of the tactics behind everything quite interesting. Not necessarily for my tactics, but I find tactics in general very interesting. Military or strategic, or even kind of economic business strategy. I never took economics because I was never very good at maths beyond basic GCSE level. But I did do history and politics, and so I said I've always had a bit of a fascination with military stuff. There's a drop there to my right. I nearly flipped the car here. I don't necessarily see the drop, I don't think. But as you can see, there's a lot more people now around. And actually, there's a lot of people kind of to the right of Go Docks. They must have all either come from lower down or gone from one side to the other. But I see that there's a decent enough mountain up here. And I think I decide to head up towards the top of the circle and kind of make my way down from there. In fact, I ditch the car here and go on foot, purely to give myself a bit of options in terms of staying a little bit more silent. As this is not given that there's hills everywhere. Actually, it's quite easy to do a bit of silent running. So it's nice to be able to get out, have the luxury of getting out of the car and going on foot, because that's not always something that's possible. There's a lot of people round, but thankfully I'm generally far away from most people, apart from a few people around. Although I do see number 13 there, and I think he's the first engagement I have with Tarek 77 there, or 777. But I'm also aware there's probably people up on the mountain to the right, and looking at this back in the replay, you can see number 6 up there. NPC something. Quayside? Cube? Seaside. It's like Seaside, but just not not quite as it should be. I hear a big old kind of demolition explosion from a Panzerfaust. I'm not entirely sure what that is, but I know it's not far away if it sounds that loud. I'm aware there's going to be people up at this mountain to some extent. I don't know how many people are there, but it's a nice spot tactically to hold out. So it's something that I have to kind of be somewhat aware of. Someone over there to my right, not that I see them. I think number 77 down there, Ponty, might be the first person I end up fighting. Either 77 or 17, because someone takes a couple of shots at me momentarily, and then I engage with them. Again, I'm being very cautious of the cliff face up in that direction, because even though I don't know there's people there, I'm almost certain that there'll be someone generally in the vicinity. There's also Lucky Strike 8 just ahead of us. Again, we don't really know that he's there, but I start to take shots here from Ponty, number 77. Again, I don't know exactly where he is. I just know that he's around here somewhere. So I boost myself up in order to stand a little bit more of a chance going forward. Passive healing, get some additional speed. I hear there's some shots up on the right. Do we fight Lucky Strike or Ponty first? I'm honestly not sure. I think, it's Ponty, because Ponty shoots at us from down the hill. And there I see him there. I see him moving. But then I also get shot from somewhere else. I'm not entirely sure who that was. I wasn't looking at the map at the time, but I go back to here because it's a little bit safer. It affords me a little bit more cover. But I see Ponty moving again. I know he's by that tree. Thankfully he misses there, because that could have been quite nasty. I'm actually looking in the slightly wrong direction there. He shoots. I'm not sure he had a direct shot at me, but maybe he was trying to... Wow, that was a terrible blue zone grenade, now that I've seen him down there to the right-hand side. But never mind. My hope was that it was going to kind of move him along. I think I see him behind the tree there. Yeah, I see him moving here. Takes a second. I climb up the rock. And 4 hits finish the job. I start to head over to go for him, but I get attacked by, I would guess, Lucky Strike 8. But I decide tactically to pull back, and it's definitely not retreating. It's advancing on the enemy in the opposite direction. Definitely not retreating. But as you can see, there's a lot of people starting to kind of arrive at this cliff face. and I'm still aware that there's probably going to be someone up there. So I don't necessarily want to push up too much. I have a quick look behind me to ensure that Lucky Strike isn't following. Of course, he is to some extent, or they are to some extent, but I don't know exactly where they are. So I kind of leave them to it, I think. I'm not actually sure I take on Lucky Strike. At this point, there's only 11 alive, and I've got 1 kill so far. I think the 2 people in front of me, numbers 8 and 21, engage with each other. One of them comes out victorious. And then from there, I swoop in and try and take the remaining person out. I have a thought about climbing up the mountain here, especially as there are people fighting. But I thought the cliff face is not. It's too. It's too steep to really go after. So 21 comes out victorious there, and I'm hoping to kind of capitalise on any fights that have gone on. I see them there. Obviously, I don't have much health on. But a few hits gets them down there. They have a self-revive. So I'm keen to finish them off before they can self-revive. 2 kills and down to 7 alive at this point. I'm aware that the blue's coming in. I am in the zone here. I'm aware that I'm probably not going to be in the zone going forward. So I want to get myself in a good enough spot to be able to move after this. See the shadow of the plane, I think, or possibly just the trees moving. I keep myself boosted up just in case. Lucky Strike at number 6 there. NPC might well engage with each other. But I think we actually, even if we want to go back that way, we can't. So yes, the circle looks great for going back the other way. It's a little, it's much closer to where we are, but we just simply cannot get through with the high cliff face. It's just not feasible. Down to 5 alive at this point. And there's a lot of people in this part of the map. I see the zone there. Also not the zone, I see the drop there. I thought someone might go for it. I considered going for it myself, but I thought people would be watching that like a hawk, so I thought it would be best to not engage in such things. I keep myself boosted up as best possible. Give the passive healing, give the speed. Very useful indeed. I think I see that chap on the hill. Yes, I do. I want to take a shot, but I want to get a clean shot at him. And I'm not entirely sure I get one actually at this stage. I get a shot. I get a couple of shots there. In fact, I do finish him off there. It's remarkable. That guy's right in front of me. Oh my goodness, I didn't even see that. He was right in front of me. He could have absolutely blasted me there. I'm really surprised he didn't. He absolutely could have finished me off there had he actually taken the opportunity to do so. Especially as he was in the ghillie. Wow, I mean, this is the thing you see in replays. And actually, number 5 there is going after the ghillie chap. I know he's up there somewhere. But I'm in a slightly rough spot here. I do see him there on the hill. I do try and get a shot off. I think I get 1 shot off. Yeah, 2 shots off. I get him down to about 1/3 of his health. NPC Seaside. We'll call you Seaside. Seaside really could have finished me off there. A little bit of a stroke of luck to keep myself alive. Not really anything that I had to do with it, but I did manage nonetheless. So in the top 3 here, and at this point I'm really, really tense. I'm really hoping to survive. I cook a grenade and send that way, but it doesn't really go far enough to have any major impact. I was trying to aim it for the smoke, but I just didn't quite manage it. He heads down towards the... Seaside heads down towards the drops, I'm guessing, to top of his supply, on top of his ghillie and whatever other guns he's got. And we're in a bit of a Mexican standoff here, trying to survive. No one's really engaging, no one's really doing much since my grenade throw, which, didn't achieve a huge amount, in all honesty. Seaside is still kind of to my right, and I really think he could have had a good chance of me. Thankfully, I seem to have got away with it. Although really, I'm not sure I deserve to do so. And at this point, they start moving around. And so it's kind of, we're all in a triangle formation, opposite from each other. kind of waiting for the zone to move in. Because once the zone moves in, that's going to kind of determine where we need to go as players. It's not just me, but the others as well. I do get a brief glance there, and it seems like they start engaging with each other, which is useful for me because I use that time to reposition and get myself to this rock here. I know it's not in, but it's a good spot, and I think they're both down in that part of the map, which they are. And I thought that during the original time, so I see that chap's head over there, and I try to shoot, but this rock proves problematic. I get a good hit off there, but not quite enough to kill him, but I think I must absolutely knacker his helmet. And it doesn't look like does he heal up? I'm not sure he does heal up at all, actually. He may not have any healing left. No, he does heal up. I also see the ghillie chap over there. I get a shot off, but this rock is still proving problematic. But it's taking down their gear. It's knocking off their helmet and their armour a bit. And there we go. A headshot and then a follow-up shot takes out Seaside in third place. At this point, we both kind of run to this rock. We both know we're both there, but there's nowhere else really to go for. And there, I take the win. And it's the first time I've ever won in a solo PUBG game, and it only took me 343 hours of playing this game. So, I hope you enjoyed me for that. Enjoyed joining me for that, even. And, like I said, I'm not the world's best PUBG player, but I do enjoy it, and I enjoy the tactics. And in my head, I kind of turn it into the Hunger Games. Although there's a lot less guns, of course, in that. Like I said, I'm not sure how much of kind of more pre-recorded games we'll see of PUBG on the channel, but I think we might see some games of PUBG on Twitch with some of my friends, and some of them may make it over to here on YouTube, either as an individual video or as part of a stream being recorded over into here. And my keyboard seems to be absolutely crazy. So I'm going to leave things there. Thank you so much for watching. Take care. Bye-bye.